Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Martin. I'm the president of Athlete by Impact, which is a nonprofit that works with athletes, professional Olympic and Paralympic, to help them realize the impact that they can have on everything that they do off the field of play. And we're here today with Lance Thomas, NBA player, CEO of SlangMagic Fishing, and also the founder of the Trust Your Work Foundation. So great to see you, Lance.
Stephanie, always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so today we're going to have a conversation together and talking a little bit about really the kind of ever-changing landscape of what's happening in the media and all of the new opportunities that we're seeing for athletes. So would love to kind of get right into it and talk a little bit about, life after basketball. A lot of people talk about, you know, like what it's like to be able to prepare for life after basketball, but you've always been preparing for both business and basketball. Where does that drive come from, and where did that really start?
It was a real wake-up call for me, especially when I got into the NBA, because I was in the development league my first year out of college after I graduated from Duke University and won the national championship. My next thing was going to Austin, Texas, to play for the Austin Toros at that time. And the best, I guess, comparison I can give you for the development league at that time was a bunch of crabs in a pot, and if one wants to differentiate themselves and elevate, you got 3 or 4 of them pulling them down, and when, that was the case, I just knew that, it was going to be a lot for me to get to that next level. So I always had that mentality to, be a step ahead of the game and to, figure out what I want to do when I'm done. And me personally, I knew a lot of the things that I like to do already that make me happy besides basketball. And I think athletes in general, since we've been playing, whatever sport it is for however long we've been playing it, it's hard to envision yourself loving something equally or more than that sport. And I think we all have a very difficult time of, figuring out what makes us happy outside of that. And I already knew what that was for me. And then it was just a matter of putting, a plan together to be able to do all of them, in a way that would, one, still be super fulfilling to me as a human being, not just as an athlete, to be able to spread the knowledge of leadership that I've learned from various amazing leaders that I've come in contact with in my life, to be someone who actually gives back and doesn't think it's a chore, but actually am passionate about it, and to get out on the water, right? Mental health is very important, and that's what being out in the Gulf of Mexico does for me. So I've always been, thinking about those things, even while I was in uniform. So I know that was kind of long-winded, but I wanted to give you a little bit of background on it.
No, that's fantastic, because I think that's something we've seen throughout your career. And I think especially knowing, the type of leadership that you've always brought to the different teams that you've played on, we're seeing those leadership lessons really come to life in the work that you're doing off the court. So I'd love for you to just talk about that a little bit more. You kind of touched on, some of the great people that you've had a chance to learn from. But how have you taken some of those leadership lessons that you've learned on the court and apply them to your businesses off the court?
Oh man, accountability. My high school coach, Danny Hurley, who's now the head coach at UConn, he was probably the toughest coach on me in my life. And I loved it. He prepared me for what was next, right? And my transition from high school to college was so much easier because I had him. It was actually kind of like a step down in intensity, one-on-one when I went to Duke. Regardless of that is what I'm saying. I had a tough-nosed coach that actually demanded greatness out of me. So, when that weight is actually on your shoulders, to be that every single day, I had that for 2 years before I got to Duke. So when I got there, that wasn't the wake-up call for me. The wake-up call for me when I was at Duke was, myself being from New Jersey, New York, and being at a university that was, surrounded by just amazing, intelligent people who, probably could, find the cure for cancer, but couldn't have a conversation with you because they were introverts, right? So that was my struggle at Duke, was to really throw myself into the, you know, the culture of the university, not just basketball, but to throw myself into the university, make friends, you know, let the student body know that we are students just like them. We're human beings just like them. We just play a sport, right? Their professions, whatever they may be, are going to last way longer than any one of our basketball careers, right? So those were the people I was interested in hanging out when I was at school, you know, and a lot of them to this day are people who actually helped catapult a lot of the endeavors that I like to do off of the floor. But again, as far as the leadership goes, I've always been, you know, held accountable for everything. I never asked somebody to do something that I wouldn't do myself, you know, and as a leader, you want to be able to figure out exactly what motivates each individual. You know, everyone doesn't get motivated the same exact way, right? I had teammates that I could yell at and get the best out of them. Like, okay, I got you. And I had teammates I couldn't yell at because they would just, you know, curl into the small ball and I lost them for the rest of the game, you know, and then I have to do damage control to get their, you know, their spirits back up, their, you know, their competitive fire back up, you know, and I had certain guys I could just look at a certain way and they knew what time it was, right? So as a leader, if you're not paying attention to those things, you don't expect greatness out of your group, right? And that's something that I've always, you know, wanted to do, was to just, if anything, I always wanted people to say that I was one of their favorite teammates, because I always pumped confidence in them. I always, you know, stuck my chin out for them, you know, at any point in time. I would want to be a guy that they'd be like, hey, if I was in a, you know, dark alley, you know, somewhere, I would want Lance with me. You know, that's the type of relationship I have with a lot of my teammates. But yeah, those two mentors, specifically those two, Coach Danny Early and Coach K, I mean, they really, really are amazing leaders. They demand greatness, and they demand greatness of themselves before they demand it of someone else. So they are two individuals that practice what they preach, and I have the utmost respect for them.
That's great. And I think part of it too is also they taught competitiveness, you know, like that competitive spirit of not how to compete against just others, but also to light the fire within yourselves, right?
Yep.
Can we talk a little bit about, you know, the passion that you developed pretty early on for fishing, and, you know, kind of that how your competitiveness comes out in a very different way when you're out in the water?
Yeah. So my friend Kenwan Nichols, one of my best friends in life, was like, hey, you want to go fishing? I was like, I've never been before, let's go. So I remember taking like what you call like a little rag out of my pocket and holding the fish down and, you know, trying to like shimmy the hook out of its mouth because I didn't want to touch it, you know, and all these things. And, you know, you fast forward to now, you know, where I'm actually, you know, taking hooks out of, you know, 500-600 pound sharks' mouths and chasing, you know, blue marlin. But I just think that when I found that passion, you know, when I really went out there, it was the most therapeutic thing for me, especially with, you know, being an athlete at Duke University, which at that time, when I was there, we were on TV more than the Lakers, you know, when Kobe and all those guys were on the team, rest in peace, Kobe. But we were always on TV, you know, and it was a gift and a curse. It was a gift because national exposure. I was in North Carolina, my family's back in New Jersey, New York. They got to see almost every game I played. But what also comes with that is a lot of, you know, expectation, you know, and it was a really big thing that helped me in my 4 years at Duke University because, you know, a lot of people don't really realize that, you know, mental health and mental wellness is one, very important because we're athletes that are just told to go. You got this. Or you're hurt. Oh, no, you got this. Let's plow through it, right? And I do believe that there is a difference between, you know, being hurt and being injured, right? Like if you're injured, I don't think you should play. If you're hurt, if you're, you know, an athlete and you've actually, you know, been able to, you know, endure certain things, I think you should play, you know, but at no point should you risk your mental wellness, you know, for nothing, right? And I think that when I realized that fishing was that for me, it actually was my, you know, it was my breath of fresh air. It was something that just was like, all right, you're good. All right, now you can go back and, be that leader that you need to be on the court. Because as a leader, sometimes you get lost into, you forget about yourself, right? And, I'm helping people all the time with, overcoming things for them. They're not playing well. They're frustrated with this. They're not playing as much as they would like to play. Anything that goes through a college student athlete's head. And I was always the person that would put the fire out for them. But then I was like, oof, ain't nobody asking me how I'm doing.
That's right.
What about me? I'm a student athlete too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm actually younger than you, but
Yeah.
fishing was that for me. And I knew that eventually if I was to do something in that sport, fishing, if I brought 10 people, if 2 of those 10 or even 1 of those 10 actually found that this was a hobby that actually brought them that same tranquility that it brought me, absolutely, my job is done. I'm happy about that, right? But I know if I bring 10 people with me, it's gonna be 1-on-1, sure.
And in the way that you then took that kind of the love that you developed for fishing and that piece, and you actually then not only turned it into a business, but it's also a brand.
Yeah.
Can you just share a little bit about how, the inspiration of like how you were able to take that and then turn it into something that's now impacting so many other people?
Our kids, they love it. We have 24 kids in our program right now, 12 boys and 12 girls from all over the country. And some of them have fishing experience, some of them don't. But the mission of the foundation is to inspire the youth to achieve their own personal goals and reach their maximum potential, while exposing them to resources to become a better, more well-rounded leader. And we use the sport of fishing, as that vessel. So it's going to be this, amazing group of, young men and women who have learned about all those things that I mentioned to you. And, hopefully they spread what they've learned, from me and from each other onto, their friends and in their community.
That's great. No, I love it because it's again, it's fully integrated across everything that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one other component that's interesting that you're doing is the storytelling. Could you just talk a little bit about why you've wanted to incorporate storytelling as part of, the overall approach to your business and what it's lent you, not only as an athlete, but just your business in general?
Absolutely. I think storytelling is very important, especially now in an age where, social media is, the gift and the curse, right? You can use it to propel, your brand and your business, as high as you want, but you can use it the wrong way and it can go south very quickly. And I think that it's very important to, really tell people like what this is about, what our goal is, what we've been able to do. The stories that we're telling, they're pretty unique. And, we recently just started offering charters in the Gulf of Mexico. So we've been, taking people out fishing, with us. And people have been ecstatic, like, can we come down like this, and then more storytelling happens on the boat, so it's like they feel a part of it.
Yeah, it's a great one because to be able to, like your response of just tapping into that passion
Mm-hmm.
and then tapping into your network and always building that network. That's like such key advice, foundational advice,
Yep.
And such a great place to start. So thank you.
Absolutely.
And that was our last question. So thank you so much, Lance. It was great to be able to have a conversation with you. And I just want to thank you for you are such a role model, and being willing to share what you're doing and how you've been able to really create something really special out of something that was like a true personal passion, but now it's impacting so many more people. So a huge hats off to you.
Stephanie, thank you. That really means a lot to me. I really take pride in the things that, I've been able to accomplish now and the things that I plan on accomplishing in the future. Also a huge fan of yours, what you're doing for athletes, Olympic, Paralympic athletes. I think it's really important that they also have a voice and an outlet to actually be able to, better their lives as well. The fact that they have, what you created in you as a resource and outlet is awesome. So hats off right back to you.